Firstly, we have the vertex or the turning point. It's either the highest or lowest point. So if the parabola opens up, it means it has a lowest point. If it opens down, it has a highest point. You can think of it like the bottom of a bowl or top of a hill. I don't know, whenever I heard the word bowl, I just think of Will Byers' bowl cut, which looks good, obviously. Secondly, we have the axis of symmetry, which is a vertical line through the middle. It splits the parabola into two equal halves. A parabola always has a lowest point or a highest point, as I said, and your goal is to view life as this parabola, because you will hit rock bottom once in your lifetime, hopefully more than once. But why? Because after rock bottom there is only one way up. You need to realize that life doesn't end at the bottom. You have to rise up, just like the parabola. And how do you do that? Well, throughout the video I will give you some tips and tricks that worked for me, because on my channel I won't gatekeep anything, okay? Anything I won't gatekeep, besides my location, of course. And now, different forms you should know. Firstly, the standard form, you have already seen it, where C is the y-intercept, or where it crosses the y-axis. Secondly, we have the vertex form, which is super important. So vertex is, and this is the easiest way to graph. For example, we have y equals, in parentheses, x minus 2 times 2 plus 3. The vertex is 2.3. And before we move on to finding the vertex, my first tip is to try to acknowledge what it is that is disturbing you. Whether it is a friend, a family situation, your mental health, school, etc. You need to find the core of it and list the things that could be the reason for why you're feeling the way you are. Let's say you have a crush on your homeboy, but he likes your girlfriend. Sticky situation, okay? That shit hurts and could be the reason you are feeling down. And maybe you have a lot of schoolwork at the same time, so it's just like stress after stress after stress, and you're just freaking out. But after you have acknowledged the cause for your negative emotions, try to write it down and find ways to feel better from it. For example, in this scenario, it could be to take some space from your guy friend, go on a solo date, and think to yourself, why would me and him not work out? And for school, try to maybe take a day off school if you have the opportunity to, if your parents let you. If they don't, just do as best as you can. Remember that grades are just grades, okay? Just because you failed the test doesn't mean your life is over, you know? Life is so much more than just your grades, than just your education. I'm not saying education is bad, I'm just saying that there's so many ways to actually get through life, and you don't have to get an A on that paper to actually get a great job. And it's like, same with a bad grade. If I get a C, when I usually get an A in physics, let me just tell you, I hate physics, okay? It's my worst enemy. But if I get a C, and I usually get an A, which rarely happens. I just tell myself that the universe didn't want me to become an astronaut or a scientist, because everything happens for a reason, okay? The universe just didn't want me to become a scientist, or the universe didn't want you to end up with your guy friend. There's so many more opportunities, so many more ways for life to work out, and just because you wanted that thing to happen doesn't mean that that was best for you, okay? You need to remember that. So let's move on to finding the vertex from the standard form. So if you have the x-coordinate of the vertex is, then you just plug it back in to get y. It is that simple, guys. And let's try it with an example, step by step. So let's say you have this equation. Step 1 is to find the vertex for x. And for this equation, a equals to 1 and b equals to -4. That means that x equals to this. So the parabola is centered at x equals to 2. Step 2 is to plug it into the equation for to get y. And you get 1, -1, sorry, my bad. So the vertex is this coordinates. And the maximum and minimum values. If parabola opens up, it has a minimum. If parabola opens down, it has a maximum, and this happens at the vertex. And like you have been waiting for this. So now for my second tip. I think I heard the Wizard Liz recently talk about this, so shout out to her. But transform the negative energy to magic, okay? You're feeling down and your heart is heavy. Instead of just accepting it, you can transform those feelings into something better. Use it as willpower to reach your goals and become successful. For example, when you're depressed or stressed, you want to eat a lot of food or nothing at all and just doom scroll bed rot. Do you recognize yourself? But hey, that is not good for your mental health and mental well-being, okay? If you want to actually feel better, eating balanced is great for your health and mind. And instead of consuming, you should create, okay? Like writing, video editing, art, music, so on. You'll feel 10 times better. And remember that a small habit will escalate to you rising up from rock bottom. So never underestimate those small little things in life and those small little habits that can shape your mental well-being, okay? So after watching this video, I want you to create something yourself. For me, I created this video all by myself. I recorded the audios, made the editing, wrote the script, and find the suiting pictures, everything. Now it's your turn to either create a new YouTube channel or, I don't know, to create art and put it on your wall, something that reflects your soul. Maybe write a piece of poetry, anything, okay? And if you're comfortable, maybe share it in the comments as well for what you did, because I'm really curious. So now the quadratic equation. Here A, B, and C are just numbers or constants, and they each control a different part of the parabola. So firstly, what does A do? A controls the shape. For example, if A is bigger than 0, it opens up. If A is smaller than 0, it opens down. And it also controls the width. A big A means narrow/steep, whilst a small a means this equation means very narrow, and this equation means very wide. What does B do then? Well, B controls the position or the sideways shift. It affects where the vertex is, and it works together with A as we saw earlier. Maybe you don't see it directly, but it moves the parabola left or right. And lastly, what does C do? So C is the easiest one to understand. It is the y-intercept, where the graph crosses the y-axis, because when x equals to 0, y equals to c, like the b in y equals to ax plus b, or in linear equations, which I also have a video on about if you want to check it out. And let's put it all together. So for where's it called? It explains the shape up, down, or wide or narrow. B is the shift, the graph left or right, and it also affects the vertex. And C is like the starting point or the y-intercept. And now this is obvious, hopefully. But another thing that is, I don't even know what I wrote in the script. Now this is obvious. Hopefully another thing this is obvious. Mind you, I wrote this on the train on my way to school, 7 a.m. and I forgot to proofread this, and what am I on about? It's like I'm high, I'm just repeating the words, what the heck. I'm so sorry. I think I would keep that part in because I like to be genuine on this channel, and if I make mistakes, I want to show you guys that I am a human. I make mistakes. I'm not a robot, okay? But another tip I want to give you that is maybe cliche is journaling, okay? This is not a TikTok trend. I fear that TikTok has made this look very performative, but it is literally to untangle your thoughts and get to know yourself in this situation. Who are you at rock bottom? Why are you at rock bottom? What keeps you at rock bottom? Because we cannot choose where we land, but we can choose to either stay or move on. The choice is yours, and make it wisely because it is your life, not mine. If you want to stay at rock bottom, stay, okay? Nobody cares. It's your life. But for your information, life up here is so beautiful, and you are missing out. So, how parabolas fit into Algebra 1? In Algebra 1, you move through this progression. Linear equation, which is the first step. It's straight lines, constant slope. For example, earning the same amount of money per hour. But then we have quadratic equations, or aka parabolas. This is not straight anymore, like Will-Byers, and it is curved, though I don't think Will-Byers ever was straight. And this is like rate of change is not constant, and this is where parabolas come in. So why Algebra 1 introduces parabolas? Well, because real life is often not linear. It never really actually is, it's rare. For example, throwing a ball, it creates curves. Profit increases then decreases. Or speed, it accelerates. So Algebra 1 teaches you that, how to model curves and not just the lines. And because real life is often non-linear, you may need to scream or cry. And do not limit yourself, okay? Never limit yourself. Let yourself cry for hours and scream for hours. Scream into your pillow. And boys, I am looking at you too. Just because society told you to be a man, it does not mean do not cry, okay? So all of you guys and girls, when I say guys, I mean like all of you. I don't mean boys especially, okay? So after watching this video and subscribing to me, because I am so funny and so relatable, jokes, okay? Scream at the top of your lungs, okay? Scream so much, because sometimes you don't even know why you feel bad, but screaming just releases that much tension in your body, and you just feel so much more relaxed and happier. And an extra tip, if you have money, is to get a therapist, because remember, it is popular and talked about for a reason. So get therapy if you can afford it, or just scream, okay? Both works. And now some core Algebra 1 skills with parabolas. Firstly, we have expanding expressions. For example, and then we have factoring, okay, which is very important. For example, and it has these factors. And why this matters is because it helps you to find solutions. Thirdly, we have solving quadratic equations. So method 1 is factoring, like I said just now. Method 2 is quadratic formulas, which is this one. And for my next tip is that don't ghost the people that love you, okay? If you are truly family and friends, they will be there for you and make you laugh, make you feel loved. And sometimes that is all you need, to be reminded that you don't have to be at rock bottom forever, that you are loved and that life is actually beautiful. And the next point is graphing parabolas. In Algebra 1, you learn how to find the vertex, find x-intercepts, y-intercepts, sketch the graph. And this concept connects algebra with geometry. So the x-intercepts, or where the graph crosses the x-axis, these are the points where y equals to 0, also called solutions, roots, or zeros. For example, we have this equation, and the factors are these, which means the x-intercepts are these two. And these are the points where the parabola touches the x-axis. And now, how many solutions will you get? Well, inside the quadratic formula, we have this. And this is called the discriminant. So if the solution is greater than 0, it has 2 solutions. If it equals to 0, it has 1 solution. If it's smaller than 0, it has no real solutions. And this tells you what the graph will look like before you even draw it. It will either be exactly at the x-axis, or cross the x-axis twice, or float in the coordinate system. And now to how to graph a parabola step by step. Firstly, find the vertex, then find the axis of symmetry, then find the y-intercept, and then find x-intercepts if it's possible. And now you can easily sketch the curve. So let's sketch this together. So I wrote down the vertex and all of that. And before I show you my graph, let's see yours, okay? Answer in 3, 2, 1. Are they similar? Do they look like twins? Because hopefully they do. Because if they did, that means that this video worked, and that you actually understood, which is really good job. So now for my final summary. A parabola comes from a quadratic equation. It has vertex, axis of symmetry, and intercepts. A B and C control the graph, okay, how it looks like, where it is going. You can solve graph and interpret it. And algebra and graphs are actually telling the same story, just in different ways, okay? And once you understand this, you can read the story. And parabolas aren't really just math. They can describe how things rise, peak, and fall, just like many things in life. But for your life, I hope, and it will, you will go to rock bottom once or more than once in your life, okay? But you will always rise up again. Always. If you feel like it's going so slow and you're not going up, you're just going down. Okay, that doesn't mean that that's the end, okay? It's just part of the journey. No one's story ends down there, okay? By nature. It will always rise up again, and I promise you, one day it will. And some progress takes slower time. But that is your life journey, okay? Your life. Don't compare yourself to others. Just focus on yourself, okay? So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it and learned something. Hopefully everything, but I get that you can't learn everything from just one YouTube video. But I tried my best explaining as good as I could. If there's any other concepts you want me to cover in my future videos, please comment down below and I will put that on my list. I feel like I answered so many comments when I'll put that on my list. The thing people don't know is that I post like 2 videos a month, so it feels like they think that I'm forgetting them, but trust me, I have a list, okay? It's just that I post twice a month. I can't do more videos than that right now, okay? I have school, maybe when it's summer, but right now I don't have that much time, and I will get burned out if I focus too much on editing and schoolwork. Oh gosh, I make so many math videos, but trust me, math is killing me right now. I don't understand a single thing, and my math teacher, it took her 2 hours to actually get the guts to tell me that she didn't know the answer. Oh my days. But anyways, this brings me joy to make videos like this. I hope you guys know it, and I appreciate you guys so much for freaking 500 subscribers. I think I'm about to hit 700 subscribers. That is so cool, and I'm so grateful, guys. So thank you so much for making this possible. I love you all so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.